thanks Subhasish to be as a guest in my channel. It's called Mindfulness with Manish, and the goal for this podcast and this channel is because to talk about everything about mindfulness, which contains yoga, fitness, lifestyle, how we deal with anxiety, stress, entrepreneurship, basically that. And I know you from a long time back, 10 years back. I still remember the days of my first company when you hired me, and I still remember the phone call you did. Basically, when we cleared a software engineering round, right? You do phone screen and all. I was in Stony Brook. You called me and you did the interview and all. That's why I know you from those days. It's been 10 years, and then you became the mentor in my life, both spiritual and both like professional. So that's why I have you as a guest, and thanks for coming. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey? Basically, when did you move to US, and how did you move, and what was the reason behind it? Let's start from there so that audience know that where you coming from and stuff.
Sure. So I moved into the US in the year 2010, and I came here to do a PhD in computer science. So that's how I came here. But my heart was more set on product. It was set on building products. When I was in the college, when I was a teenager, I had read From Pepsi to Apple, the autobiography of Steve Jobs. Then now there is another autobiography by Isaac Walton. So when I had read that autobiography, I was very inspired by Steve Jobs and how he had founded Apple. So over time, I've outgrown Steve Jobs' inspiration. These days, I'm more inspired by yoga and meditation.
So Steve Jobs was your guru during that time,
During that time,
and now it's like yoga and fitness is your thing.
not so much fitness, I would say, but yoga and meditation
Yoga
for
and
sure.
meditation.
Yeah. So that's how I had come here. Initially, I was very inspired by Steve Jobs and making products. And when I graduated from engineering, at that time product management was not a profession. So I did not know that you could actually legitimately build products as a profession. So I thought, okay, I'll do a PhD and I'll like invent new things
So the goal of you doing a PhD was to become a product manager, is it? Like to build products.
to build products. Yeah. So actually, when I went to do a PhD, as I said, like when I graduated from college, product management was not really an established profession then. Now it's a very, very established profession. Everybody wants to be a product manager, but back then that was not the case, definitely.
Is it a hot field, like to be a product manager? I know it was, but right now, is it still a
I
hot
still think it's a hot field because like a lot of folks who grow up and you have diverse interests. You might have interest in literature, you might have interest in philosophy, in poetry, in so many other things, in creative fields, in creative pursuit with design or with arts, right? And then you are good at mathematics and the quantitative sciences also.
field?
So product management is a profession where you can marry different things, such as like say technology, design, the commercial aspects, the business aspects, art. So many different dimensions you can fuse together and create a career path,
Got it.
which is why product management is very appealing. And you said, is this hot? I still think it's very hot. I see a lot of people who are engineers or who went to do business degrees. In the past, the engineers would remain engineers, or folks who went to do business degrees, maybe in the US, they will go to Wall Street. But I think a lot of them have been gravitating towards product management for quite some time because it lets you marry so many different passions and different interests.
Correct. So as a PM, you basically have to interact with a lot of stakeholders. The one that you mentioned, engineering, design, sales, and everyone. That's a good part of it because you get to get a gist of everyone. But there's a con side of it. Like, what are some of the would say some challenging part towards product management from your career life?
I think one thing is, if you are an engineer, you probably hopefully own one area. You can go very deep in that particular area. When you are a product manager, like depending on the company, but I think mostly it is true, breadth is much more. Your scope is bigger. You are working with multiple products, or you are working with multiple features. You are working with a number of different stakeholders. So a challenge of product management could be just stress, and the stress that comes from having limited time and having more things to accomplish than you have the time for, right? So usually that is what creates stress. The other thing could be depending on the work environment, depending on the team dynamics, there could be a lot of conflict.
Right.
As an engineer, you probably only have to, ensure you are aligned with your manager, and if you are not the TL, then maybe your TL, your tech lead. But if you are a product manager, then engineering directors, engineering VPs, product directors, VPs, UX folks, sales, there are so many different stakeholders.
Parts moving, yeah.
So the other thing could be not just in terms of scope and like lack of time. The other thing could be you are dealing with a lot of stakeholders, you are dealing with a lot of leaders, you are also dealing with a lot of first line engineers and designers. So there could be inherently a conflict, because the engineer who builds a product, they think it is their product. The designer who designs,
They think this is their product. Yeah, I know. That's the
they
thing.
think it's their product, right? Now an engineering director, an engineering VP, they think they know what the product should be. A product director or product VP, they would think they know what the product should
So
be.
everyone thinks they are the hero in their aspect.
Yeah, like if you have sales also, for example, sales would think I exactly know what my customer needs, right? So what can happen is everybody has an opinion of what the product should be, but in the end you are the product manager, you are the one who has to make the final decision, you are the one who probably has to say no to 5 people.
Yeah.
So inherently there could be some stress. So I feel you know bigger scope, lack of time, having a lot of
Those are some
stakeholders,
challenges.
dealing with a lot of conflicts, potentially dealing with strong opinions, those could be some challenges.
God. So the thing is, we have a lot of topics to talk about. I know I will be taking a lot of podcast with you. We can either go in like product management, go deep down technical. We can also go deep down into spirituality. We can also deep down into like what is going on in tech wise and travel also, as you are a good travel and photographer as well. There's a lot of parts, and you are like jack of all trades. So I think I have my opinion. We can go with spirituality, but do you have any preference?
No, no, I think we can talk about whatever flows or whatever you want.
Yeah. So
And in the end, I think everything is connected. So I think it doesn't matter what we talk, we'll go in
right,
all different
right.
directions.
So one thing you mentioned was stress as a product manager, right? So tell me about how you deal with stress and what are things how you manage stress. That's one of the things that people face in like these days.
I think there are mainly two things which cause people stress. There is this, I think, misunderstood or limited idea of work life balance, which denotes that your work and your life are different. Now, if you consider your work and your life to be different, then automatically you will try to, there's already a boundary.
Hmm.
You will automatically want, oh, no, no, this time to this time is when I should work. This time to this time when I should do some other things.
Yeah.
Also, inherently, we're saying work is not your life. But the most precious thing we have is life.
Right.
So if you say the time that I work is not my life, it means it is the time you are taking away from life. So at a very subconscious level, it will cause stress. At a very subconscious level, it will cause resentment, because ultimately what is stress? So say you want to do something, your heart is in it, you really want to do something. If you do that, you will not be stressed. But you really do not want to do something, but you are having to do that at that moment,
Then that will.
that causes stress. So I think,
So what you are saying is whatever you are working should be part of your life. You should love that basically. Then you will not feel stress.
yeah, so you have to include everything as part of your life. Like the thing that you are doing, the work that you are doing, you are qualified for it, right? You probably loved it at some point. If you don't love it today, if you haven't somehow been feeling the love lately, but at some point you must have loved it, that you actually spent so much time building competence and experience in that direction. So I think a lot of modern day limited understanding of work life balance has inherently, at a subconscious level, made people take a lot of stress. What I feel is, or the way I look at work is that, just like you breathe, just like you drink water, you eat food, you sleep, work is like that.
Work is like that.
It's a very naturally integrated part of life. And in the yogic technologies, or in the yogic parlance, right, we always talk about karma. So the work that you do for your living is also a very important part of your karma. You have to do the work in such a way that it is an offering to the universe.
That's called karma yoga, right?
That is karma yoga.
Yeah.
So I think, yoga fundamentally, what it means, like the word yoga, it means union
Union.
or addition, summation, right? You and the universe. So if you look at your work also as karma yoga, as you said, so if you are trying to unite with the work, that is also called the flow state, like where there is no separation between you and your work. So when you and your work has become one, it has perfectly fused. In that state, there is very less chances that you will feel stress, right? So I think that's a very important reason why today a lot of people feel stress. I also feel, not having this alignment, that what I'm doing at this moment, this is what I'll do at this moment, this is what is important, this is what I want to do. Not having that alignment is the fundamental cause of feeling stress. I also feel the other cause of feeling stress is limited identification. For example, like somebody may feel I'm a product manager, or I'm an engineer, or I'm an artist. So say somebody became an engineer, but they feel they are actually a poet, or they're actually an
I see.
artist, right? Or I'm a product manager, but I feel, at my heart I'm a musician, or I'm
And they are in the wrong field.
and they're in the wrong field.
So that's why they feel like they are having.
Yeah, and then there are so many movies, there is so much, things in the popular literature, they will inspire you in one way, but in the other way they will make you question that, what I am doing, is this what I should be doing? I should be a filmmaker right now, or I should be a painter, I should be a poet. Even I have, at some stages of my life, in the process of growth, I have gone through those experiences. But as they say, brilliant does what it can, genius does what it must. So there are some people who do work which they do not love. They shouldn't be doing it. There are some people who actually love what they do. But if you are really, really wise, then it doesn't matter what you do. Whatever you do in this moment, you do it lovingly. You do it with utmost joy. Because see, at this moment, what you have to do, it must be done at this
Those are
moment.
not brilliant people, those are wise people.
Those are wise people. Those are the people with wisdom or with clarity, right? So see, at this moment, if I have to clean utensils, this is my job in this moment. At this moment, if I have to cook, this work needs to be done at this moment.
Right. I've seen it, like what's happening right now with the people who are millennials. So they came to US as like to do masters, and they were dragged into engineering as everyone did. They did not choose engineering as a career path. They were following their friend's path. Now at 30s, they are thinking is enough, right? So it's being engineering manager they have been, or product manager. Now they want to do something else. So they are leaving their job, or they have been like laid off, whatever be the, now they are doing painting, they are doing something else. But it's hard to make money from it. It's a separate thing. But the thing is, they're not loving the job whatever they're doing, right? That causes a lot of stress. Because I started this yoga and chai, and I get a lot of students who talk about like they do not love the job, they do not like whatever they're doing. So that is something which I always tell them, do yoga, do meditation, but that is the solution, but that is not the entire thing. They should start loving what they do, right?
Yeah, I also feel, there is, say you are doing a painting, but you are not doing painting as a profession. You are doing painting as an expression. You are doing painting as something, your hobby, you just love it, right? Inherently, there is no stress of making money from it. You are not doing it very competitively. You probably do not have like a manager, a director, a senior director, a
Exactly, you're
VP, a
doing as
CEO,
your hobby.
right? Exactly. So you don't have all those
Like this
people.
podcast,
Yeah.
we are doing this as a hobby. It's not like we have to force, we have to get money, right? Yeah.
So a lot of the time, people why they enjoy something is because inherently they don't have to answer to like five bosses, or their work is not being peer reviewed by 40 people, and they are not accountable for a certain amount of revenue or certain kind of outcomes, right? Now, if you add those things, like for example, somebody who's a professional musician, even they have stress, and they will feel a certain stress that you will not feel if today you are just playing music, and you are a software engineer or you are a product manager, but I'm just, I have a guitar and I'm jamming, I'm composing, I'm writing a song, I'm playing music, because inherently the thing I'm doing right now, I don't perceive stress. So why do people feel stressed in their given profession? Like the same person today, say, who's a software engineer or who is a product manager, if they were to take up painting or music, as their profession, in some years may feel the same kind of stress there also. So the question is not about what you do. The question is about the context in which you do your work. The question is about the texture in which you see your surroundings, right? So a lot of this stress also happens because people are looking for validation outside. So for example, I did something, I wrote a product requirement document, a PRD, or I made a slide deck, or I did some kind of a, like a spreadsheet with financial analysis or whatever, right? Now, the moment you put it out there in the world, there may be 20 people who are reviewing it. A lot of people have a lot of different opinions. If you take it personally, like if somebody says this is very bad, like this is so stupid, like first of all, probably they shouldn't be saying things like this, but then you can't control others. So say others are judging you harshly, others are making statements which one can say they are not friendly towards you. Now if you take them personally, so why do we take things personally, right? So this is somewhere, it is because we are not free from other people's judgment of ourselves.
That is something I read a quote from Sadhguru. He said that whatever happening outside your body, why we have to like basically take that as like take that and feel stress about it, right? So basically whatever happening inside you, you should be the control of yourself. Why other person, what is happening in the environment is controlling you, that is something you should like have a separate boundary. That is something that I really like about that quote basically. And we feel like whatever other person is telling us, whatever we are seeing, we feel stress about it. We should not do that. That's what I feel like.
Absolutely. So I feel, like drawing conclusions or opinions about anything is a flawed activity. Like say I derive a certain opinion of you.
Hmm.
How much do I know you
Hmm.
versus how much do you know yourself?
Hmm.
Now there are lots of people who don't know much about themselves either. So drawing conclusions or opinions about oneself,
Stereotyping someone like he's like that, he's like
he
that.
is like that, or not even stereotyping, just drawing any kind of judgment. Like the moment I have judged you, that is a failed activity, because I can never judge you. I don't know everything about you, your circumstance, your background, your past, your likings, your influences. Why, if you say something right now, why do you say it? I do not know, and I cannot know in entirety. Without that, if I judge you, so that judgment itself is wrong. Likewise, if I judge even myself, like where did I come from, like how did I take birth, what is my purpose, like what would happen after this life is over. Even about myself, if you think of it, fundamentals we do not know. Even if you think of the universe, in the universe where we are, right, like what's going to happen to the earth, how did it happen, our understanding and knowledge of the entire context is so limited. In this limited context, if we make judgments, whether it's about ourselves or about others, it's a very limited perspective. So I think a lot of the time people feel a lot of stress in workplace or regarding their career, or even when they were students, right, is because they think, oh, what will this person think of me, like they've questioned my ability in some way. They feel, like I have done this. If there is a question on my work, instead of thinking it's a question on what I've written, sometimes they may think it's a question on me, or it's a question, on
That's the
my
perception we get.
ability.
Yeah.
So the moment we reach that place within ourselves where anybody's opinion doesn't matter
Doesn't
to
matter to us.
us,
Yeah.
right, including my own, like the biggest critic that a human has is themselves. So it's a journey where you start from caring about other people's opinions about you, but in the end, the person whose opinion you free yourself from, the last person in the world whose opinion you free yourself from,
Is you.
is your own. And when that happens, then you can really do karma yoga, because at that moment what you are doing is just what needs to be done.
But that is very easy to be said and done, right? How basically a common person do not get affected by what others are seeing, what others are perceiving. We always get affected by it. Is it some yoga practice that they need to do, certain things they need to do?
So it is essentially, a quality of the mind, a non-reactive mind, a mind that cannot be perturbed, a mind that cannot be shaken, cannot be affected by any input coming from anywhere. Whether it is physical inputs, your own body reacting in a certain way, or whether it is your environment, it's very hot or cold, or what people are saying, or how people are treating you, or how people are looking at you. ultimately is the quality of a mind which does not react, which responds. So if you train your mind in such a way that it responds, that means you are choosing your response. You are choosing how to respond in any particular situation. Now, in reality, in order to arrive at a state of mind or arrive at a discipline of mind where you are responsive rather than reactive, in my experience, there could be different ways. But in my experience, it takes, or what I have done is meditation, and it's a combination of meditation and Kriya. So, Kriya is also a form of yoga. It works with your vital energies, it works with your prana, the thing that gives you life, that dimension of energy. So working with your prana, ensuring your prana is flowing in a beautiful way in your body,
That helps actually.
those things all help, because to get to a state of your being, it's not just your mind, a state of your being where you are free from judgment, where you are free from any inputs which are coming. So, say this music is coming, that music is coming, this sound is coming, that sound is coming. But what is happening in your mind, you are choosing.
Right.
The music you hear in your head is your choice, right? So, in order to do that, in order to not be reactive, but to choose very conscious response, in my experience, what has worked, to whatever degree it has worked, is Kriya Yoga and meditation.
Okay, let's talk about Kriya Yoga and meditation. So I know you are part of Isha Foundation. You have done a lot of programs under Isha Foundation. So I'm not clear with what programs are there. Let's start with the basic one. In so basically, why Isha Foundation? Why not something else? Like there's hundreds and thousands of like organization that teaches yoga, right? Why did you choose Isha, and what Isha has given you and changed you as a person?
So, I am a meditator. I do Isha meditation practices. I have also volunteered for Isha Foundation, but I'm not part of Isha Foundation. I volunteered for Isha Foundation and I do meditations and kriyas which are taught by Sadhguru. Now, you asked a very legitimate question that there are so many different yogis and so many schools of yoga or so many schools of meditation. Why Isha Foundation? So, in my life, I started with Ramakrishna Mission. I started with the principles which were propounded by Swami Vivekananda, who actually propounded the principles of his guru, Ramakrishna. So I started with Vivekananda. The first enlightened mystic that I met in my life was from Ramakrishna Mission. I was, I think, in class 8th or ninth at the time, or maybe 10th. So when I met that person, that was the first time in my life I met somebody, and they emitted a light and an energy, and maybe you can call it aura, which was very different than the other people I've met. So they were like the sun, you know they would light everything up, and you could just perceive so much life and so much health and everything, right? So that's how I started with Swami Vivekananda. Then in my life Buddha happened, and
When you
I
say you started with Swami Vivekananda, what does it mean?
so Swami Vivekananda founded Ramakrishna Mission.
So you were a part, like you were a student of Ramakrishna.
I was in touch with some folks from Ramakrishna Mission. I went and did some meditations and some satsangs with Ramakrishna Mission. So Ramakrishna Mission, they follow Advaita Vedanta. It is a Jnana Yoga. So their fundamental vehicle is the Jnana Yoga vehicle, but they also have meditation. So they do, like, almost every path of yoga includes meditation, but fundamentally they are Advaiti, or they are Jnana Yoga. So in Advaita, they say you and the Brahman, you and the ultimate are the same. Just like the drop is the ocean, or rather, just like the ocean is the drop is also the ocean. So I started there. In my life, Buddha happened, Buddha's teachings happened. I studied some fundamental books of Buddha, the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Paths. So for some time in my life, I tried to follow Buddha's methods. There's a lot of Buddhist teachings and Buddhist meditations which are extremely powerful, and they can give you tremendous equanimity.
So Buddhist teaching, right? So people usually, where do they learn the Buddhist teaching? Do they have to go to Nepal or like certain country to learn them?
No, actually, almost anywhere in the world, you would have Buddhist monasteries, or you would have teachers who will teach Buddhist meditations or Buddhist principles, like even where we live in California.
Vipassana, right?
Yes, so there are lots of places where you can go do Vipassana. So Vipassana is a tremendous, like, step in meditation where you go through a silence program for a number of days.
10 days.
10 days, you can even do, like many people do 40 days, 50 days, 80 days, 100 days also.
And they, what is the requirement? Like, you can't, you don't have a phone and you can't speak to anyone, right?
Yes, you are not supposed to speak to anybody, you are not supposed to communicate, in any way. The idea is to detach from your senses. The idea is to detach from, speech and sight and, reading anything. So you enter a, that is a good way to enter a state of non-reactiveness, because if you see, you are looking at TV, you are looking at phone, you are looking at this, you are listening to that, you are constantly reacting. It's very transactional. So, when you leave it, when you detox for quite some time, your mind enters a state of equanimity or peace where it's not reacting.
Right.
So it's a very good way to enter a meditative program. So in my life, from Vivekananda, I went to Buddha's teaching. But what I felt is I was looking for, you know a brand of spirituality which was more dynamic, which was more exuberant, because Buddhist teachings are excellent. Like the way Buddhist teaching, Buddha is not there today. So the people who are, instructing you into Buddhist meditations or carrying Buddha's teachings, that teaching is focused very much towards equanimity. But in a way, I felt, for me, it lacked joy, it lacked, burst of energy, exuberance. So that is when in 2011, my wife Nidhi, she sent me a 27-minute video interview of Sadhguru with Anuradha Sengupta. It was also a podcast, you can say. It was called, Beautiful People with Anuradha Sengupta. So I saw that interview for 27 minutes, and the amount of meditativeness I saw, deep meditation in which Sadhguru was going, even when, Anuradha was asking Sadhguru a question, in a space of 20 seconds or 1 minute, the deep, depths of meditation in which Sadhguru was receding. And then when he had to answer a question, he was again coming live. So I sensed such deep quality of meditation in Sadhguru. And actually, Sadhguru had me in the very first sentence he spoke. So Anuradha said, Sadhguru, like, how do I introduce you? Should I introduce you as a spiritual guru, as a life teacher? So Sadhguru said, life cannot be taught, it has to be lived. So, they say, you had me at hello. So that sentence, life cannot be taught, it has to be lived,
That caught you
that
attention.
reverberated with me. And in a month or two, I was, in Houston, Texas. Both me and Nidhi, we went and attended inner engineering, Shambhavi, Mahamudra.
Yeah, I think certain, even not certain, all of the Sadhguru's teaching has some learning behind it. The way he speaks, the confidently he speaks, right? The way he like answers questions of like people, right? I've not seen such a like confident or vibrant leader ever in my life, like living. Maybe like Vivekananda and other people might be like this, but I think he is one of them. Other people, I will say Sri Sri Ravi Shankar might be another person, but Sadhguru has a lot of following because of this. I think the way he answers, the way he treats life, the way he like do all of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So at that point, I was actually looking for a brand of spirituality which was not just about finding peace and equanimity, but which would be more exuberant, which would be more joyful, because life is to be lived. We have been dead, as Sadhguru said, for a very long time, and we are going to be alive for a very short amount of time. So,
What does it mean? We are dead for a long time and we are alive very, very. There's a book called Death that written by Sadhguru. There's a statement written over there. I don't understand what is the meaning of this.
see, this is not going to be my experience. So, I'll tell you somebody's interpretation. So, ideally, I should not answer this question. But if, just based on interpretation, what it means is, this thing, like, what is spirituality? Spirituality is basically a dimension which is non physical. Spirituality comes from the word spirit, which means that which is not physical. So, we have this body, we have this mind, these are all physical things. But the thing that powers, like when we are sleeping at night, we have the body, the mind is also there, but we are not there. In our experience, nothing is there, right? So the thing which powers this body and mind, this consciousness, the
The
thing,
soul,
so many people say it's the soul, some people say it's the spirit. So these are all taxonomic
same thing.
terminology, right? So the yogic parlance, the yogic sciences, the yogic school of thought, it says that at the core, our innermost core is the spirit. And the spirit, like changing clothes, it changes bodies. And you take lives, you take one life, then you take the other life, then you take the other life. In the evolutionary scheme of things, this same spirit, may have been an amoeba, it may have been a fish, you know, it may have been a monkey at some point.
And maybe it would not be have any other organism. That's why he said that you have been dead. Is it that's what it means?
So what I feel is that the same spirit has gone through many lives.
Many lives, yeah.
In some life it was something, in some life it was human. From the time the spirit took human life, maybe we have taken multiple human births.
Yeah.
So the reason, according to the yogis, the reason you are given this life or you come back to being
Human
born
life.
again is because you have to complete your karma. You have not completed your karma. Now, when you have completely completed your karma, you have paid down all karmic debts, you have completely traversed the arc
Then
of
you can achieve
karma,
moksha.
then you can achieve moksha or
A
liberation.
lot of terms are there. So when you say basically complete your karma, what does it mean?
So suppose, say, small examples, like say you really like sweets, sweets are not good for you, you should not eat sweets, but you will still eat sweets because you can't help it, right? So in a way you have not resolved your sweetness karma or your sweet karma. Now,
So sweet karma means that you get rid of, like, whatever, if there's tons of sweets in front of you, it should not affect you.
yeah, you are free, like out of free will, if you want to, if you need to, maybe you eat sweet, but if you want, you have the freedom that even if there are 100 sweets in front of you, you won't eat them.
So that's what means getting out of karma.
That means,
Your
yes,
karma is complete
yeah, you have paid your karmic debts, you have
for
resolved
sweets.
your karma for sweets, right? Likewise, say you are afraid of the dark. Okay, you have to expose yourself again and again and again and again in dark rooms, like empty, desolate, dark places. At some point you will feel that, oh yeah, darkness
Doesn't affect me.
doesn't affect me.
So that's why yogi, the term yogi, the people who are yogi, they are detached with all the things. That's why they are not affected by all the, like, they are done with the karma. That's what we can say.
I don't know if that's the right word, it's used a lot, but what you mean is they're free,
They're free
they're
from
not
the.
entangled,
Hmm.
into something, like uh, so same way, like we all have different karmas that we need to learn. Like, for example, say you are scared of some elders, so say when you were a child, you had some male adults who were very angry and who shouted at you, who punished you and all of that, right? So when you grow up in your adulting also, when you have uh, male, older, elder adults, you may be a little nervous when you are in front of them, you may not trust them implicitly, you are not very comfortable in front of them, right? But if you make a conscious effort, at some point you will become free from it. It doesn't matter whether it's an older adult, a male, however scary they look, it's okay, they have an opinion, and the opinion doesn't impact you. Or
Right.
they might tell you whatever, but whatever they tell you doesn't impact you. You do what you think is right, you do what you need to do. So this is how we pay down karma. So the human life, according to the yoga sutras and the yogis, the human life is to realize your ultimate nature, is to realize the ultimate potential that we carry as a human being, which is actually the potential of enlightenment. It is the potential of realizing that you have a consciousness which is way more expanded than the consciousness in which most human beings live. When you hit that level of consciousness, you hook into the universal consciousness. So the nature of the universe, the mysteries of the universe, how the universe existentially functions, right? Everything, you have a in you have a knowing which is very alive, and which comes from the inside, which comes from the cosmic consciousness. And all these divisions, like you are a separate person, I am a separate person,
Individual entity.
everything dissolves. Like, for example, if you see another person,
Yeah.
if you see them for some time, you can see yourself in that person.
That's something I experienced in BSP, which is Bhavaspandana, one of the program in Sadhguru. Isha Foundation. There were instances where they were showing us different people's photos, and the task was to recognize that whoever you are looking, it's basically you only. I did not understand that concept. I feel like I did not see myself. Maybe I need to take those courses again. But after the course happened, I talked to people and they saw that, like this, they saw themselves, their face in front of their photo. Some people saw their grandmother's photo. Some people say saw something else. So that's what one some of the courses are there in Isha, I think. So
Yeah, so Bhavaspandana is a great course, right? So any spiritual experience, like if you have a spiritual experience, what does a spiritual experience mean? A spiritual experience means in your experience you have transcended the realm of physicality. That's why you had a spiritual experience. So it basically means that this physical body, this material, like environment, the constraints of space and time in this three-dimensional world, in your experience you transcended them. So you hit a experience which is probably not ruled by space time the way we understand it, the way physics defines it,
right,
right? So in that experience your idea of space time is very different. In this world we are mostly identified with, who am I am this body, I have this hand, I have this face, this eyes, this physique,
exactly, yeah,
right? And I am this mind, right? But when you hit a spiritual experience, in your experience, where is the body? There is no body. Where is the mind? There is no mind. In that spiritual experience, the world is not three dimensional. In that spiritual experience, you have probably tapped into the consciousness which people say super consciousness or universal consciousness, or the Ramakrishna mission people call Brahman. So
got it.
it is essentially a dimension of intelligence which is not individualized, which is not limited to individual intellect. So when you have that experience, even if you have that experience for a very small amount of time, after that when you come back to your normal senses, when you look at another human
You
being,
will look at a different perspective. You look
yeah,
at he's me only.
me, yeah, when you look at another human being, you looked at another animal, you looked at a tree, you looked at a rock, right? So suddenly your identification has become a lot loose. Now you see, oh, it's the same thing, it's the same, it's me everywhere.
Yeah, cool. Another thing which actually is difficult for me to understand is there's like different courses within Isha Foundation, right? It starts with inner engineering, which at the end teaches you Shambhavi, and then there's other things also. After doing that, that's a gateway towards and like do other courses. Can you explain me difference between these different courses? Like there's Shunya, there's a BSP, Shambhavi. What happens when people do Shambhavi? What kriya do you do? Those questions I have.
Sure. So with Isha Foundation, the beginning program, the beginner
The
level
seven
program,
videos you watch.
7 videos, yeah, the new inner engineering format is there. So you start with inner engineering, which culminates into initiation into a very powerful, Kriya Yoga, which is called Shambhavi Mahamudra. So Shambhavi Mahamudra is a, in my perspective, it's a very, like encompassing. It has a vast range of things it covers. It has certain kriyas in it. It also has a dimension of energy, and kriya is all about energy. Kriya is about working with life energy. So it's a very powerful, vibrant, dynamic, energetic process. It makes you more vibrant. It makes you more vibrant. It makes you more alive. You will see a lot of people, you see there's no spark in their eyes, there is no spark in their face. They don't seem vibrant, they don't seem alive. Shambhavi will make you very, very alive. The more you do Shambhavi, the
You
more
will be more happy with your life. Like
you will become more vibrant. And I think over a period of time, you will become more free. So when you become more free, I think there's a chance you can become more happy. But like happiness is a thing, if people are too entangled, it's hard to be happy. But Shambhavi helps you become loose. It
when you say become loose, become free, like do you mean that they don't want to buy cars, expensive cars, they do not want to do like certain materialistic things like shopping and something, like in simple, but what does free mean?
being free means you do not have a compulsion. You can still buy a car. I love fast cars, I love good sports cars, right? But if I did not buy a car, it doesn't affect me. If I don't buy a car, it doesn't impact me, right? you might still enjoy food, but if you don't get that food right now, it doesn't affect you. It's a matter of choice. You can have it. If you don't have it, it doesn't lower your mood, doesn't affect you in any way. So looseness or freedom in my, when I say these things, is that you are loose with life. You're free, where if you do it, if you get it, fine. If you do not get it, it's fine too. You don't carry strong opinions about anything, not about people, not about things. You don't have strong likes, you don't have strong dislikes.
Right.
Is good this way, is good that way. It's that. So Shambhavi is a great practice, in my opinion, for people who are starting in the path of spirituality, where it's a kriya, it's a live energy process. As you do that process more and more and more and more, in my opinion, it helps with the energetic structures that you carry, and it makes you energetically more free, more vibrant, more fluid. Life energy flows much more fluidly in you, and automatically you become more vibrant, more free. Like, you will not be rigid with life or with opinions or with anything. You will become a freer person. After Shambhavi, you can do Bhavaspandana or BSP, or you can do Shunya.
So in Shambhavi, there's a kriya that you have to do on daily basis, right?
Yes.
It's 21 minutes or something. It takes day and evening and morning, right?
Yeah.
So that is something that needs to be done. We are not going into detail like what's the kriya about, but that's something that people, if a person is doing, then they will get to know. Then after that, they can either do BSP or Shunya.
They can do BSP or they can do Shunya. So BSP is about giving you a spiritual experience. BSP is about, like all the yogis will tell you that you are not your body, you are not your mind. It's not that everything is a lie, but everything is not the way you think, which is called as Maya. So
That is
Maya.
BSP.
So what I'm saying is, like, most of the people, they are living in Maya. It doesn't mean everything you see, my TV, my car, my house, my family. It doesn't mean they do not exist, but it means they are not the way you think they are. They are slightly different than the way you think, right? So your identification, your perception is a certain way. You are very identified with the body and the mind. BSP is about giving you, it's a 4-day program. It is about giving you a spiritual experience where you experience yourself as your innermost core, which is the spirit. So in a way, it helps you understand that these identifications are false identifications, and you understand that you are actually a spirit. You can get in touch with your own spirit. So that is BSP. But BSP is purely experiential. The purpose of BSP is to actually show you who you are, who you truly are. BSP's purpose is to give you that glimpse. But now that you have glimpsed it, now that you have seen who you are, how to be that entity, how to live in touch with your spirit, how to live with freedom from your senses. So that's where Shunya intensive is extremely powerful. So, Sadhguru says BSP is like you are on a trampoline. You are jumping on a trampoline. You are jumping on a trampoline. There is a wall, there's a barrier. One time you jumped on the trampoline very high,
You
and
will fall out of the wall. Yeah.
no, you see on the other
Other
side.
side, what is there? Yeah.
You can see on the other side what is there, right? Now you have seen it. Now you want to see it consistently. So now you need a ladder, so that you can take the ladder and you can go and stand
That's
on
where
top of
Shunya
the wall.
comes.
So this is where all other Isha practices come. So Shunya intensive is a meditation. In Shunya meditation, when you are in Shunya, nothing is happening in your brain. No intellectual processing is happening. There is no I, there is no two things, there is no universe in you.
But how this can happen, right? Like there's constant things happening in the brain. The brain right now it's maybe somewhere else, maybe in traveling Miami or something. Will that program train us to bring our brain back, mind back, and basically not to linger away?
So meditativeness, when we truly experience a deep state of meditation, it is also an energetic state. Your life energies have to be in a certain way. Your energies have to be fluid. So for that meditative state to happen, like, you cannot do Shunya. Like Shunya meditation people who do, you sit twice for Shunya. You can sit for Shunya, but you cannot do Shunya. Shunya happens to you. In order for Shunya to happen, what you have to do is, there is a Kriya which is called Shakti Chalana Kriya. So Shakti Chalana Kriya is a very powerful Kriya. It's a Kriya Yoga process. If you do that Kriya, it does tremendous things to the life energy in you. It makes it very receptive for spiritual experience, for spiritual growth, it's also extremely good for physical health. Like Shakti Chalana Kriya, if somebody practices Shakti Chalana Kriya, it does tremendous things to them in the material world, in terms of health, in terms of fulfillment, in terms of various things. But those are all side effects. Like the spiritual process, if you do if you really progress in the spiritual path, you might succeed a lot in your career. You might have a very loving, fulfilling relationship in your family situation, right? But and your health might be great and stuff, but those are all side effects. Those are all happy good side effects. The actual reason or the purpose of spiritual process is spiritual progress. It is to go closer to the truth. It is to go closer to spiritual enlightenment. It is to take you in that path. But as you go towards light, you go away from darkness, so a lot of good things happen in your life. So this is Shunya. Isha also has some hatha yoga courses, like
Yogasana.
you have a yogasana. So yogasana is actually something which again prepares your energetic structure. Like your body is housing the life energy, right? So it aligns your body geometry with the cosmic geometry, and it prepares you for deep spiritual experiences. When you do all of this, and then again, as part of Shunya intensive, there is also Surya Shakti, which is a hatha yoga practice, which again prepares your body for energy fluidity, for life energy fluidity, which by itself does great things. Like even if you forget about spiritual experiences, just doing Surya Shakti, it is such a powerful hatha yoga practice. It will ensure, or it will help, that your body doesn't have ailments, that it doesn't have any chronic diseases or stuff like that, right? But once you have done these courses, then you can go for the ultimate course that Isha offers.
That's the final one.
That
If
is
you
the
if you had
final.
done these courses.
If you have done all these courses, then you have covered all the prerequisites for the course, which is called Samyama.
Samyama.
Samyama. So the thing about Samyama is, so say we sit in Shunya and we do Shunya. So say at some point in Shunya, if Shunya happens to you, if you hit Shunya, then you are in a very deep state of meditation. At that state, in that state of meditation, there is no thoughts, there is no ego, which means there is no sense of duality, that this universe and me are separate. So there's nothing like that. So at this state, nothing is happening. You could almost say that it's like as if you are in deep sleep, except you are not sleeping. You are deeply conscious. You have consciousness of everything that is happening, but you are in a very deep state of oneness. So that is Shunya. Now it's a beautiful meditative state. Actually, when you are in Shunya, your metabolism drops over 20%, like close to 24%. Your metabolism drops. When a human being sleeps, their metabolism drops around 8%. So Shunya is that deeply rejuvenating. If you do 50 minutes of Shunya, if you actually are in Shunya for 15 minutes, it's equivalent to 2.5 hours.
When you say when you are in Shunya, does it mean that you have achieved Shunya, or are you doing Kriya Shunya?
It's not Kriya, it is meditation. So it is Dhyana. So in when you are in Shunya, it means Shunya is happening to you. You are in a deep state of meditation where your intellect is not functioning. You are not thinking.
And you have to do it every day.
You have to do it every day, twice a day for Shunya to keep happening to you. So, but you are in that state when you are doing Shunya. Samyama is, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I'm cooking, I'm studying, I'm working, I'm playing. Whatever I am doing, I'm doing it from a state of deep meditation. So it is as if your 24 hours, whether you are sleeping or you are awake, whether you are doing X, Y, Z, whatever you are doing it from the background of deep meditativeness. That is Samyama. So when you go through Samyama, after that, Samyama is a massive karma cleansing process. So Samyama is a process after which your karma is extremely beautiful, pure, clean. It doesn't have any disturbance. The karma within you, the karmic material that you are carrying, it has been really thoroughly cleansed, detoxed, you can say, where there are no karmic disturbances happening from within. So there is absolutely nothing that's going to bother you from within.
So I have a question. So what happens to like all the karma that we are bringing from the past life, right? For example, we did something bad or good. For bad, we have to pay the debts in this life. They tell us, right? Do these programs make us like get rid of our karmas?
So it's not that in karma there is anything bad or good. It is how it has impacted you. If something has made you an a slave of something, in a way you can say it's not good because it's not letting you be free. So in general there is nothing good or bad. Like if you think of it, a soldier for his motherland is killing another person, a soldier from another country.
Right.
Now we give them Paramveer Chakra or whatever chakra, and you ask them their conscience, even they at the moment of their death, they are not feeling bad that they killed somebody. They feel I did a great service for my motherland, right? Another person is killing another person.
That is bad. Yeah.
In the end, the act is the same. Both the acts are that somebody kills somebody, but the karma is about in what context you processed it. So there was no good or bad. It is how you perceived it, right? So if you think of any big spiritual initiation, like whether we talk about Shambhavi Mahamudra or we talk about Shunya or we talk about Samyama, any process through which you go through a very strong initiation, it in a big way alters your karmic trajectory. So say in the absence of it, your karma would have been going this way. But now that you did this strong, powerful spiritual initiation, instead of your karmic trajectory going this way, your karmic trajectory can go in a different way. So in a very simplified way, you can say, yeah, you are carrying a lot of karma. The way I think of it is, you were carrying, say, a lot of destabilizing influences, a lot of destabilizing legacies you were carrying. A spiritual initiation like Samyama, what it might do is it can get you rid of all of that. Where what you are left with is something that is pure. What you are left with is a type of karma, or a certain amount of karma that you are carrying. It is such which is actually needed to carry out this life, which is actually life positive, which is aligned with life.
Got it. Okay. So this happens after you do Shunne or the last one,
Samyama.
Samyama. Okay. And that is also 4 day program.
No, Samyama is 8 day.
8 day in house. You have to live there and all.
Yes, you can go to Isha Yoga Center in Coimbatore, or you can go to Isha Institute of Inner Sciences in Tennessee. It's a 8 day program. It's a silence program. It's the most powerful program that Isha avails everybody. Like anybody can go do it. Samyama is actually offered for free.
Is it? Okay. But in order to do Samyama, you have to like do these 4 courses, right?
You have to do a few things. Like
Inner
you have to do
engineering,
inner engineering, Shambhavi. You have to do Shunya. You have to do Bhavaspandana. You have to do
Yogasana,
Yogasana.
Yogasana.
And then there's a preparation for Samyama. You have to prepare for a certain number of days. So in Isha Foundation, it is only Shambhavi Mahamudra for which you pay. For rest of the programs after Shambhavi, you only pay for like food and residence
For Shunne
charges.
also you pay, right? No?
But those payments are only like the cost of carrying out a program. Like say you are carrying out a program, there is electricity cost, internet
That
cost,
cost.
food,
Okay.
water, residence, all right. But when you do Samyama, you don't pay for those also. So Samyama is the highest state of meditative offering Isha Institute has, and they don't charge you anything at all.
Got it. And these programs are also offered somewhere else, as in, for example, someone like Shishi Ravi Shankar has this own program. Are they similar or they have different things going on?
So usually, if you look at any true enlightened masters,
Yeah,
if you look at any true enlightened yogis,
they have something
they
similar.
all have things which are similar. There would be some differences, but all of these gurus, their knowledge, they all come from Shiva. Everything comes from Adiyogi. So they, like if you look at music, for example, you can say there are main 7 notes. There are also minor notes, komal and all, but mainly you say there are 7 notes. So whatever you do, it is just a combination. It's just a combinatrix. So likewise, Adi Yogi, whatever Adi Yogi taught or transmitted, the science of yoga, at some point that was compiled, and that compilation is called Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. So there is a fixed number of sutras.
Sutras in that, yeah.
So now whether it was Osho
It's
or
the same. The standard is that.
yeah, so
Patanjali Yoga
whoever
Sutra.
it is, whatever they are, you know, transmitting you or
Right.
teaching you, everything comes from the same source.
But tell me one thing, right? So what is so Patanjali Yoga Sutra exists, right? We have different kinds of yoga also. Like we have Karma Yoga, we have Bhakti Yoga, we have Hatha Yoga, Stang Yoga, and Gyan Yoga you all mentioned. What is the difference? Like from, I will tell you what I feel like all these yoga path leads to the same thing, which is samadhi. I feel like the end goal is the same, but the path you are taking is different. For example, ashtanga yoga is 8 limbs of yoga, like it's like dhyana, what are two
Dhyana, dharana.
yoga, asana, pranayam, pratyahara, dharana, dhyan, samadhi. It's like that. So that is the path. But for bhakti yoga, some people do Hare Krishna like mantra, some people do Shiva mantra. So that is also one way to do it. I've seen people doing that path also. They don't do yoga asana and stuff like that. So what is a right, what is a wrong? That is another thing I have questions on.
One of the fastest paths to mukti, or one of the fastest paths to being free or being enlightened, is bhakti yoga. The challenge with that is, in modern times, it is hard for human beings to be truly a devotee, to truly know and be in devotion, because the modern life has become so complicated. There are so many things. There is such a loss of innocence, and there is so much of skepticism in our heart and in our minds. Bhakti has become much harder. Even now, if you see in women, you will find women are capable of much more bhakti yoga path than men are capable of. I think it's also because, women actually give birth and they bring up a child. They very unconditionally experience what it is to give their all to a different life. So, bhakti yoga, if one is capable of bhakti, it is the fastest path. But I think a big challenge in today's world, in the modern era, is most people are so skeptical. Most people, for them, they are the biggest entity.
Hmm.
They cannot give their life, they cannot hold somebody else above them.
मैं ही सब कुछ हूँ basically. I'm the only one. Yeah.
So ego is very strong, so like if somebody tells you right now to give your life away for somebody else,
Nobody will do that. Or
it's very hard in today's context for people to do it, but it was not so hard in the earlier times.
people used to give their life for others, even if they
People,
don't know other people also.
that is a bit extreme, but say for one's child or for one's brother or for one's mother or for one's father, there are so many examples if you read our text,
Yeah.
where in the past, like, people would not even think twice, they will just give their life. And like, dying for somebody is one way to give life, but living for somebody is another way to give your life, where like, you make a lot of sacrifices that didn't even think of it as sacrifice, but will think of it as a sacrifice. But people literally lived for others, they did a lot of things for others, right? But in today's age, in the end, people think, what is there for me, what about me, right? So that's why bhakti is harder. This is where kriya is very powerful, because so there is jnana yoga. In jnana yoga, you are approaching freedom or enlightenment through gyan, through knowledge, right?
What kind of knowledge?
Through the knowledge of the truth, through the knowledge of what is not. So, how do you know the truth? So, when you have known everything that is not true, what is left is the truth. So, jnana yoga is about freeing yourself from all the false knowledge, so that at some place, whatever knowledge you are left with is actually the pure knowledge. So, jnana yoga is about knowing that you are the Brahman. It is about knowing you are you and what you call as God, or you and what you call as the unified energy. There is no difference, it's the same. Now, if in your perception, if you knew it so deeply that you are aware of it all the time, that is when you have reached enlightenment through the jnana path, right? But even that is hard, because
That is hard. Yeah.
even that is hard, because these days we use our brain so much, it is so multitasked, there is so much attention deficit, so to always remain in that knowledge is harder. So the way kriya works is, like, it's nothing to do with your thoughts. Like, there is thought, there is emotion, there is brain. In kriya, you are bypassing all of them. You are going to the core of your being, which is the life energy, and you are actually cleansing and purifying the life energy. So, the example is that, say your life energy is vibrating here, your experience and knowledge and perception of life will be a certain way. If your life energy is vibrating here, what you will attract, what will be your experience of life, what will be your perception of life, it will be very different. So it's like, you have a guitar, when it is not tuned well, it doesn't produce music, the sound is not very good.
Right.
But when you have tuned it well, so when the energies are raised, it is tighter. When you have tuned it well, it produces beautiful music.
Right.
So your life, is it producing beautiful music or not, is a function of how life energy
And
is
whenever
working.
things happen, then basically the chakras, we call it kundalini, they basically enlighten. When you say enlightenment, that's where all the chakra rises and our bottommost chakra goes to top. Is that the how it's?
So, enlightenment is about, you mentioned samadhi, right? So, samadhi is, the simplest way to explain samadhi. Again, samadhi has various types and qualities. But the fundamental nature of samadhi is that it is a spiritual experience. It is an experience where you have transcended the physicality. What you are experiencing doesn't have the identification of this body or this space time, right? So enlightenment is when, another way you said chakras and you mentioned kundalini, which is the life energy, right? Another way to approach it is when you are having the energies, raised in certain way where it has opened a certain dimension of consciousness for you. So in this energetic state, like your consciousness is a certain way. So for example, a very simple example to give, we say you are extremely tired or you are diseased, you have some disease, you got covid or you got some whatever, right? Like your energies are not very good, you will see you are more irritable, you don't have motivation, you do not want to do something, you can be a bit pessimistic. Like even if you see your blood pressure may be a little higher because the body is agitated,
Hmm.
the body is
The
not
body is
fully
not
clothed.
calm.
Now say you are perfectly healthy, you had a 8 9 hours sleep, you took a shower, right? You maybe prayed or you did meditation or you listened to some beautiful music, right? You will feel very hopeful, you will feel positive, you feel you can do anything, you are very hopeful, you are very motivated, right? So it's a difference in the quality of energy. What is the quality of your energy? So when you are very sick versus when you are very energetic, your quality of thoughts, your quality of emotion, in one way we can say your level of consciousness was a certain way. So when likewise your energy is at a peak, so whatever is the highest peak this human body is capable of holding your life energies, if your energies reach a certain peak, the level of consciousness that would be presented to you, that you will experience, will be very different from this level of consciousness. Suppose whatever energy you have right now, whatever you think you are capable of doing, suppose we increased your energy 10x, you will suddenly think you are capable of doing much more.
Right.
In a way, like when you are very very tired and you are so sleepy, even if there's a lot of noise around, people are saying a lot of things, you will not hear them.
Right.
In a way, the state of consciousness in which we live is like this, where what the trees are saying, what the plants are saying, what the animals are saying, what the others are thinking, we don't know.
Right.
But if your energy were to expand in a certain way, if you were to live in a very high pitch of energy, maybe you will know what the tree is saying, what the plant is saying.
So is that kundalini? When what is the meaning of kundalini? As you mentioned, kundalini is a life force
Is the
and
life energy, yeah.
life energy. With the enlightenment, like people say, we have 7 chakras, right? Activating all those chakras, is that kundalini?
No, Kundalini is the energy. Kundalini, what they call is the Adi Shakti or the Parashakti, is the primordial energy. Kundalini is the energy. Now, what the yogis say is most of the time, like every life form, a small child, you, me, any alive form has Kundalini. Now, what the yogis say is, if you do nothing with the Kundalini is at the base of your spine. It's just at the base of your spine. Now, when Kundalini ascends, you are talking about all these chakras. These chakras are different energy centers in the body. When the Kundalini ascends and when it actually provides energy to your Ajna chakra or your Sahasrara chakra,
Shastra chakra.
which are your brain centers, when Kundalini is powering them up, so then our brain can perceive certain levels of consciousness, which the brain otherwise ordinarily doesn't perceive.
Got it. And this thing can happen with all the yoga paths that we mentioned. The easiest path is what basically depends upon the person to person. Some people it's Kriya yoga, some people it's Bhakti yoga, some people it's Ashtang yoga. Sadhguru teaches Ashtang. We call it Ashtang yoga, right? Can we call that Ashtang
So,
yoga?
Sadhguru, what he teaches, there is Kriya Yoga, there is meditation, there is also Bhakti Yoga, and there is also Karma Yoga. Because Sadhguru,
It's a mix of everything.
yeah, Sadhguru is trying to connect you very deeply with everything you do. Like Sadhguru says, you should never discriminate whether you are brushing the teeth, or like you are sweeping your floor, or you are cleaning your utensils, you are cooking food, you are doing work, whatever you are doing. He says have no discrimination, whatever you are doing you need to do. So where he's taking you is karma
I
yoga.
think that's the important part, because whoever volunteers in the program, they have to do everything. They have to cook the food, wash the utensils, do bhakti. There's a different people I see doing puja over there, and then you have to engage in meditation and yoga asana and all of that thing. So it involves everything, I would say, right?
Yes. So in Sadhguru's path, he's really pushing you a lot towards karma yoga. He's also pushing you very powerfully towards meditation. Then his methods have kriya yoga built in them, and his methods have a lot of bhakti also
Bhakti
built
yoga
in
part
them.
also.
So I think the fastest way to make spiritual progress is to do things like this, where you are combining different disciplines of yoga, and what you are doing is not just one dimensional, but you have combined a few different
Right.
aspects
Right.
in it.
That's true. Also, the entire ecosystem that Sadhguru has created in Coimbatore and in Tennessee, it's like acres of land. I think it's going to help generations to come. When I was in BSP, they told us that do not do anything with the paintings and everything, because there's people coming in hundred thousands of years after this. They want to see the what we have built, actually, the thing that they've created. And I think it's a different level of experience which I experienced when I went to BSP, like whole different world, full of mountains, full of trees. I live in Delhi, which is full of pollution and population, whatever, but it was opposite. It felt like I'm in a different part of the world. Everyone was like, they were white people, all the colors, without any discrimination. We are all walking in dhoti and everything, eating the same food by sitting downstairs. It felt little different, like we are without any discrimination, we are like doing everything together. We discussed a lot of things, Subhashi. So I think we can end here. Thank you so much again for enlightening me and the audience about your depth of knowledge. It was again always good to have you. We'll talk about more things as we move on. There's tons of topic to talk about, but thank you so much for being part of the show and being part of the mindfulness with Manish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Manish, so much for inviting me and making me part of your podcast. And like everything that I said, it's not about depth of knowledge. It's about lived experiences, like what you have gone through, what has come naturally. And in the beginning, you said like I became your mentor. I think you included me in your life. So thank you so much for making not just me, Nidhi, our children, all of us, including them in your life. And it gives us a lot of joy to know you and to see you grow. So very happy.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day. See you.
Namaskar.